Hello and welcome to Blue Garden Cottage. It's lovely to have you along with us today. And today is just an update. There's been so much going on again this week, but an update specifically on the fireplace. So as you know, as I said before, the wood burner is now installed. It did not come without problems putting it in, and we've learned quite a lot of things we wish we knew before. It's been hard work, but worth it. The tiles are on, and now we need to put a wooden surround and a mantle on, and then sort out the mirror. Things we wish we knew before installing the wood burner, or even before buying a wood burner. Right, we did our research, which wasn't a huge amount because we weren't looking in the right directions, and we found this burner. We paid over £400 for it. It said clean burn, it said CE certified, which we thought was all perfectly good. The chimney sweep thought it was a really good one as well when he came, even though he wasn't sure that it was DEFRA approved, but sure it was because it said clean burn. And so when he came to put it in, he'd pre-ordered all the parts ready, the 6-inch flue pipe to put into the chimney, and the cowl and all the other bits, and the register plate, everything he needed he pre-ordered. And on the day that it arrived, he'd come to install the burner at the company we bought it from, because the pipe was not going to be fitting and we needed to know if it was DEFRA approved. After calling the company, they weren't available. Must have been too early in the morning for them, but they called me back as I was out. I went to go and get some pre-seasoned wood ready to burn. So when I went out, they called me back. They checked back on the order number, checked the product number that we had bought from them, and said that it did not state that it was DEFRA approved. Okay, so that was a huge amount of stress for us. So I flew off the handle and told them off. Very politely though. That's my way of flying off the handle, but getting my views across without losing control. I did tell them off about not putting the disclaimer in the listings that it was not DEFRA approved. I said because of legislation coming in, we needed to know when we buy these things and we're spending that amount of money, these things need to tell us that it's not DEFRA approved, and we could get into trouble with our local councils because all wood burners have to be DEFRA approved. And if a wood burner is DEFRA approved, then it will have a DEFRA logo and a statement saying next to the name that it is DEFRA approved. So if you ever want to buy a wood burner here in the UK, make sure that it is, because it now has to be. So they had to fix the problem anyway, and the way he came around it was to put a 6-inch pipe around it to make it legal and more clean burn. Problem is, our chimney is not wide enough for a 6-inch pipe. It didn't want to go down, so they had to go back to putting in the 5-inch pipe, and there was quite a few hiccups for them being able to do that. But it was done. They sealed it, they tested it with the particle monitor, and they checked all the emissions, and when you open the door on the pull, the draft, the updraft of it, there's supposed to be something like 12 points or something minimum, and we had an updraft of 56 or 58 points, something like that. So we're way above the minimum standard. So even if it's not DEFRA approved, it is it comes up to the standard, so we're okay there. It's been commissioned, and now we're waiting for the certificate to come from the local council. It's been registered with them because apparently it has to be registered with your local council as well. I don't know about other councils in the UK, but here in Cardiff at least it has to be registered with your local council, and you get a certificate to say that it's been installed by a proper heaters approved, heaters certificated installer, and it has to be swept every year, because that is only a 5-inch pipe especially, so it has to be swept very regularly. But that's fine, we don't mind. We like to keep things above board, within the law, and safe, more importantly safe for our family and whoever comes into our home. So that's done at least. Yeah, that's a lot of money to spend on a burner. And then of course was the cost of all the other fittings that had to be done, and the installation. The tiles were a bargain though. Man, that I love bargains, because I went to the local DIY. It's a big name brand. It's a big brand DIY store, and we found the black and white tiles like this, and there was a box that said marked down from £24 to £5. I thought that was a bargain, but I didn't want the black and white ones. I wanted the blue ones. So I took both boxes to the till and I said, look, are both boxes, because I thought it was end of range marked down, because it said £5 to clear. So the lady checked. No, the box of the blue ones are still £24 a box. But she called the guy over from the department that deals with all the tiles, and he said, yeah, mark it down. So I had a whole box of tiles for £5 that would have normally cost £24 for just one box. So I am well chuffed with that. So that was a saving. But overall, and I mean, the hearth was given to us by our lovely friend. So yeah, the wood we have for the surround, that's already something we don't have to pay for, because we were given that years ago on very hardwood pallets. And it is very hardwood, so you'll see that when it's done. And somebody else gave us the tiles that we used for the backing floor tiles. Those are mega hard tiles. The installers who came to install that couldn't even drill through those tiles very well. It kept breaking all the drill bits. Very strong tiles, no problem with that. Yep, it was a good install. For us, the total so far is running up to £1,500. It is not a cheap thing to install. It is not part of our frugal, the way we usually do things of upcycling and recycling, but this is something that I do not think should be done on the cheap. It should be done properly. It is a safety issue. I think we need to do things properly for safety's sake. So we didn't scrimp on that. Obviously the tiles and the surround and the things like that we can do, but when it comes to the burner and the installation, do not cut corners. It is not just a legislation thing, it is a safety thing. So I'm glad we've done that. The job is done. We have the vents on the windows that stay open when the burner is on. If we wanted to not bother having to open the window vents every time, then we could have a vent installed through the wall, but that we will do another time. That's going to cost us another £150, because it's a massive, great big hole they have to put through the wall with the vent on. But at least nobody can come to me from the council or whoever and say that this is not certified and it's not safe. So everything is certified, we have all the paperwork, and it proves that we've done it right and properly and keep them off our backs. We also have a carbon monoxide detector put where it is required to be, again according to regulation. So we have a working carbon monoxide detector. Of course there are other particles other than carbon monoxide that are emitted by a burner as well. I can't remember what it's called, I'm sure, but they are even more, or if just as deadly as CO2. So the less you open the door, the less particles are coming into the house, because even a wood burner emits particles that are quite dangerous when you open the door. So advice has been to fill it properly when you want to burn it and not open the door and just leave it burn through. But ours was tested with the door open and it was well within the safety limits. But over a long term, I think it's still safe just to open the door as little as possible and use only extremely well seasoned wood. I think I read that there would be legislation about the wood you're allowed to use and that it has to be approved. However, we have wood in the garden that can be used. It's been a year we've had it almost, and in another year it should be dry enough. Apparently ash wood can be burnt wet because it doesn't give off that much smoke, but we will just be on the safe side and season all our wood. So whatever wood we get this year will be for next year. The wood we already have will be for this winter coming at the end of this year. So whatever wood we gather this year will be for 2022's winter, and we will break it up small so it dries quickly. So there you are, a better way of burning, a safer, cleaner way. It is not a cheap thing to do. You can do it on the cheap, but you're taking your life into your hands. So those are the things we've learned while putting in this wood burner. And it has been quite an experience. There was stress involved, but hopefully if ever there were power cuts, we still have fuel to burn to keep warm, and we could even boil water on the top because it gets hot enough for that. And we can use our central heating and burn gas less, because I'm sure that with all the things we're doing to try and reduce our own footprint, carbon footprint, this is not going to make any difference. It's going to be cheaper to do and safer on the environment even to do this than to burn the gas that we burn. And I'm thinking that all the things that we do towards our zero waste and eco life will help offset the very minimal amount of smoke that comes off this. Oh, and one last thing. We were advised when it was installed to season the metal of the burner by only burning 1 log a day for 5 days at least, until the smell of the coating which is put on the burner is gone, and to open the windows while we're burning it. And I think it's also to do with preparing the metal for being burnt without causing it any damage, so it's being tempered, if you like. So yeah, we've done that for 5 days now. We've been burning 1 log a day diligently for the 5 days. We can still smell a bit of the paint, so we've spoken to the installer and he said to continue to burn just the 1 log a day until the smell of the paint, the coating, disappears, and then it will be fine to burn normally. So we will do that diligently, sticking within the advice for the safety sake of our family. So there you go. That was what we learned by installing this wood burner, and I hope that you could avoid some of the stresses we have if you're in the UK and buying a wood burner. Before you do that, do your research, check out what the accreditation means on your burner that you want to buy. Make sure when you look at listings or go to a fireplace shop, do check that it is DEFRA approved, and that, I mean, this is a 5.5 kilowatt burner. So there you go. Our wood burner is installed. We're almost finished with the fireplace, and I'll let you know when it's done. The mirror, I was thinking of getting a much bigger mirror. We were going to put the little the old fire surround, the cast iron fire surround around it, but it needs a recess, and it just means building another frame, and it's just too much. So this one I am going to repurpose, upcycle, and bling up differently, and then turn it sideways so it's wider and it will match the fireplace better. Eventually, because we're not done yet with the living room, we're going to build purpose-built bookcases and shelving along this wall and above the fireplace, right the way across, and above the window and down the side, so that we have more space. Then we can use the actual bookcases as the curtain pole holder. So there you go. We're not done yet, and when we are finally done, we can get rid of this completely ruined carpet, since we opened up the fireplace and rebuilt it and everything, it has been completely ruined. But it has to stay ruined for a while until all the work is done, because I am not replacing flooring until all the DIY is finished. That'll be another year. So for now, I'm going to have to just find rugs to cover up this horrible, nasty mess. Oh, it was important to mention the things that we've learned doing it and the things we wish we knew, just to take away a bit of the stress. So you could look at, if we paid up to 1,500, we're not quite there yet, but you know, by the time we've bought more wood to use, it probably will. But the installation itself is costing us almost £1,500. But to get a DEFRA approved burner, you might be looking at a bit more. Look around £600 for a wood burner. That is the proper one. Do your research of what you need. Speak to your local chimney sweep if they're approved for installing as well. And go through them. They can get things cheaper than you can, because they have their suppliers and they will know exactly what you need. We wish we knew that. We would have just got everything through him, even the burner. Seriously, if we knew then what we knew now, we would have just contacted him, asked him to buy all the parts and order the things he needs that he knows we need, and it would have been less stress for us. So there you go, folks. The wood burner install is done. We've learnt a lot. If we knew better, we'd have done it differently and saved a bit longer to afford to do it differently. But it is in, it is safe, and I'm glad that's done. And when it's finished, it'll look really nice. One step closer to the cottage feel of our home. Oh my goodness, the day has got to go. I have got a lot to do. I have to be off within the next half hour, and it's only just 7 o'clock. So I hope that today's going to be a good day, not just for me, but for you too. Have a lovely one. We have got a howling wind out there. It is so gusty and has been for hours. So I don't know what kind of day it's been. Probably as howling and as windy as the week has been chaotic. I hope yours isn't. Have a good one. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share if you like. It would be lovely to hear from you. Do comment, and I shall speak to you again next week. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.